Smart people make terrible decisions every day, not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't know better, but because intelligence can work against you. Some of the worst financial mistakes, broken relationships, and life-altering choices weren't made by ignorant people. They were made by people who knew too much. The more intelligent you are, the better you become at convincing yourself you're right, even when the cliff edge is right under your feet. Today, we're exploring the intelligence trap, what happens inside a brilliant brain when it fails, and how your greatest asset can quietly become your biggest liability. Imagine a man named Elias. Elias didn't just have a high IQ. He had a resume that felt like a fortress, 2 Ivy League degrees, a decade of high-level consulting, and a reputation for being the coldest logic in the room. He was the person people went to when they were confused. He was never the one who was confused. One spring, Elias found an opportunity. It was a complex, high-stakes financial venture, the kind that requires a 50-page spreadsheet to even understand. To anyone else, it looked like a gamble. To Elias, it looked like a mathematical certainty. His mentor, a man who had survived 3 market crashes, sat him down. Elias, the math works, but the human element doesn't. This is built on a bubble. Get out. Elias didn't just disagree. He felt a surge of pity for his mentor. He thought, the old man's lost his edge. He's thinking with his gut, not the data. The intelligence trap. This is where the smart person trap sets in. Most people, when they hear a warning, feel a flicker of doubt. Elias? He used his superior brain to build a cage for that doubt. Every time a red flag popped up, he didn't ignore it. He out-argued it. When the news reported instability in the sector, Elias wrote a 10-page white paper explaining why the news was statistically insignificant. When his wife expressed concern about their savings, he used complex jargon to make her feel like she simply didn't understand the macroeconomic velocity. He wasn't looking for the truth anymore. He was a lawyer for his own ego, and he was the best lawyer in town. He began to isolate. He stopped talking to anyone who didn't get it. He spent his nights in forums with other visionaries who shared his view. This wasn't a community. It was a hall of mirrors. He was looking at his own reflection and calling it global insight. The end didn't come with a bang. It came with a phone call on a Tuesday morning. The certainty had evaporated. The bubble burst exactly where his mentor said it would. In 48 hours, the fortress Elias had built, his wealth, his reputation, his credibility, crumbled. When the dust settled, Elias sat in a coffee shop with that same mentor. The mentor asked, "How did you miss it? You're the smartest person I know." Elias looked at him, and for the first time in years, the logic was gone. He said, "I didn't miss it. I saw every single red flag. I just thought I was smart enough to talk them out of existing." Confirmation bias is the brain's tendency to search for information that agrees with what it already believes and ignore what doesn't. And the smarter you are, the more dangerous this becomes. Why? Because intelligence gives you better arguments, better justifications, better logic, used selectively. A less intelligent person may doubt themselves. A smart person builds a case. They don't ask, "Am I wrong?" They ask, "How can I prove I'm right?" This is why smart people stay in toxic relationships, double down on bad investments, defend harmful beliefs, ignore obvious red flags, not because they can't see them, but because they can explain them away. Why does this happen? Research by psychologist Keith Stanovich suggests there is a massive gap between intelligence, IQ, and rationality, RQ. IQ measures your processing power, the speed of your engine. Rationality measures how you use that engine. Studies show that high IQ individuals are actually more susceptible to my-side bias. They have the mental firepower to justify their initial gut feelings with complex logic, making them nearly immune to outside feedback. In studies of cognitive sophistication, people with higher cognitive ability were found to be no more likely to recognize their own biases than those with lower scores. In some cases, they were actually worse because they were more confident in their reasoning. Then there's Julian. Julian didn't just have a high IQ. He had a simulation brain. He was the kind of person who didn't buy a toaster without reading 40 reviews and cross-referencing the heating element's longevity. One day, Julian had $1 million idea. It was a software solution for a problem he saw every day in his industry. He knew the market, he had the skills, and he had the capital. Most people would have built a minimum viable product and launched. But Julian was too smart for that. He saw the chessboard 20 moves ahead. He thought,
what if I launch and a tech giant clones it in a month?
So, he spent 3 months researching patent law. He thought,
what if the user interface isn't intuitive for the 50-plus demographic?
So, he spent another 2 months redesigning a dashboard that didn't even exist yet. He thought,
what if the server crashes at 10,000 users?
Julian wasn't procrastinating. At least, that's what he told himself. He was optimizing. In his mind, he was building a fortress. In reality, he was building a ghost. While Julian was in his 3rd month of debating which programming language offered the most future-proof scalability, a guy named Mike, a former salesperson with half of Julian's technical knowledge, saw the same problem. Mike didn't simulate. Mike didn't have a spreadsheet of what-ifs. Mike built a clunky, ugly, slightly broken version of the app in a weekend and pushed it live. 6 months passed. Julian's fortress was still a 200-page document of perfect logic. He was mentally exhausted. Every time he sat down to work, his brain would scream with 1,000 new variables he hadn't accounted for. Then came the Tuesday morning that broke him. He saw a news notification. Mike's app hits 50,000 users, secures $2 million in funding. Julian looked at Mike's app. It was terrible. It had bugs. The design was dated. It was illogical, but it was there. In a fit of pure mental burnout, Julian did exactly what your script says. He made an exhaustion decision. He panicked. He took his half-finished, overly complex code and threw it onto the market without any of the perfect safeguards he'd spent months planning. Here's something rarely talked about. Intelligence creates the illusion of control. Smart people believe, if I think long enough, I can control outcomes. If I plan well enough, nothing will go wrong. If something fails, I must have missed something. But life doesn't work that way. Uncertainty is unavoidable. And when intelligent people encounter chaos, they don't accept it. They fight it mentally. This leads to risky decisions to regain control, refusing to pivot when wrong, emotional attachment to being right. The brain prefers certainty over accuracy, and intelligence strengthens that preference. Finally, we meet Clara. Clara was a world-renowned urban planner. She didn't just design roads. She designed the way people lived. Her biggest project, the Solaris District, was meant to be her legacy, a revolutionary, eco-friendly city center that relied on a very specific, experimental traffic flow system she had patented. 2 years into construction, the data started coming back. It was clear the traffic flow was causing massive gridlock in the surrounding areas. It wasn't working. A junior engineer brought the report to her. Anyone else would have looked at the data and pivoted. But Clara didn't just see the project. She was the project. If the Solaris flow failed, then Clara, the genius, failed. Instead of saying, "Thank you for the data," Clara used her massive intellect to attack the messenger. She spent 3 sleepless nights not fixing the system, but finding flaws in the sensors that collected the data. She argued that the gridlock was temporary seasonal variance. She claimed the residents just needed more time to adapt to her superior design. She used complex fluid dynamics terminology to baffle the city council whenever they asked for updates. She wasn't being a scientist anymore. She was being a defense attorney for her own ego. Because for Clara, being wrong felt like being dead. As the problems grew, Clara did something smart people do. She doubled down. She convinced the city to invest another $10 million into enhancing the flow, essentially throwing good money after a bad idea. Her peers tried to intervene. They offered solutions that would have saved the project, but required her to admit her original patent was flawed. She refused. She viewed their help as attacks from people who were jealous of her vision. The day Solaris District opened, it was a disaster. It wasn't just a traffic jam. It was a total urban paralysis. Emergency vehicles couldn't get through. The city had to shut it down within 48 hours. Clara stood in her high-rise office, looking down at the empty, blocked-off streets. Her career was over. The irony? If she had admitted the mistake a year earlier, she could have fixed it and been a hero. Clara didn't lose her job because she wasn't smart. She lost it because she used her intelligence to build a wall around her mistakes instead of a bridge over them. She chose her reputation over the results, and in the end, she lost both. The smartest decision makers aren't the most intelligent. They're the most self-aware. They question their own thinking, seek opposing viewpoints, know when emotion is driving logic, accept uncertainty. Intelligence without humility becomes arrogance, and arrogance blinds faster than ignorance ever could. The problem isn't that smart people make bad decisions. It's that they trust their minds too much. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from knowing when not to trust your thoughts.